Everyone loves balloons, whether a dozen are delivered as a gift or thousands are used to transform a banquet facility. Their beautiful shape and intense color bring about a sense of joy and wonderment that's indescribable. As a business offering balloons, you get to share the magic and be well rewarded for your efforts with some help from the Qualatex Balloon Network. I'm Linda Bruce from Pioneer Balloon Company, maker of Qualatex balloons, and I'll be your host throughout this DVD. I know firsthand what it feels like to bring joy to people with bouquets of balloons and incredible room decor. I can also attest to their profitability, having experienced the money that can be made with balloons. They're simply one of the most profitable products out there. I started my own company focusing on balloons, deliveries, and decor way back in 1981. Today, I work with companies like yours, helping them get the most from their balloons in their business. And that's just what the Qualatex Balloon Network, or QBN, is about, providing education to businesses like yours, then giving you the marketing resources needed to get the most from your balloon sales. You'll learn proven techniques for making and selling fantastic balloon creations. After taking a simple test to confirm your knowledge of the information in each kit, you'll enjoy ongoing assistance to help build your business. In order to access your online test, as well as this kit's online reference materials, you need to have registered your kit with us. Simply visit www.qualatex.com/QBN kit registration. Whether you're brand new to the balloon industry or a veteran like me, the Qualatex Balloon Network will give you the skills, confidence, and support to thrive in today's marketplace. The educational component of the QBN program comes in the form of 3 kits. In this first kit, Balloon Basics, you receive this DVD, a letter welcoming you to the QBN program, a copy of the Design Basics book, and a Qualatex catalog. Additional materials such as sample forms and even your test are waiting for you online once you register your kit. The program has been designed so you can learn at your convenience. Repeat sections as many times as necessary or skip ahead for a quick refresher on a specific topic. You'll probably want to take notes, and just about everyone says that they learn best when they get out their balloons and follow along with the video. It's the combination of information and practice that will help you learn the most, the fastest. The first kit focuses on balloon basics. We'll begin with balloon handling and inflation, then progress to creating and selling simple bouquets, arches, and finally, balloon garland. The other kits in the program, QBN Balloon Deliveries and Bouquets and QBN Balloon Decor, are designed to expand on the knowledge you'll gain here, helping you make the most of this profitable opportunity. When someone on your staff scores 80% or higher on the basics test, your business will become an official QBN business member. You'll gain access to benefits like referrals from the Find a Pro service on Qualatex.com, basic marketing brochures for purchase, as well as instructions and downloadable photos from the members-only section of Qualatex.com. All this, and there are no membership fees. The other QBN kits have additional rewards. You can find out more details at Qualatex.com. After successfully completing all 3 kits, you're only a step away from becoming a certified balloon artist, or CBA. To achieve this prestigious designation, you'll need to complete a practical exam at a test site, demonstrating your knowledge and balloon skills to a panel of your peers. As a CBA, you'll enjoy the full benefits of the Qualatex Balloon Network. Top-level referrals, great marketing resources at a discount, and recognition within the industry as well as your community. Find out more about earning your CBA on Qualatex.com. Sound good? There's no time to waste. Let's get started learning the basics of balloons. 85 years now, Pioneer Balloon Company has manufactured balloons made from 100% natural latex with no artificial fillers. So our Qualatex balloons inflate larger and float longer than other brands. The latex we use comes from rubber tree plantations in tropical places like Malaysia. The bark is cut so the latex can be harvested in a way similar to how maple trees are tapped for their sap. And because the harvesting process doesn't hurt the trees, they can produce latex for up to 40 years. Since latex balloons are made from a natural substance, they're biodegradable. In fact, balloons break down at about the same rate as an oak leaf. You may have seen jewel tone balloons develop a soft, velvety appearance. This is actually oxidation, the latex reacting with oxygen in the air. It's the first step in their decomposition. Because latex balloons are biodegradable, you'll want to store them away from direct sunlight in a cool, dry place, such as a covered container. To make a latex balloon, a form like this is dipped into a solution that will cause latex to collect on it, and then it's dipped into the latex. Machinery rolls the balloon neck, then the latex-covered form is baked to cure the latex. The completed balloon is then stripped from the form. Qualatex round latex balloons come in sizes ranging from 5 inches all the way up to 3 feet and in several different finishes, including the opaque standards and fashion tones, brilliant translucent jewel tones, fun neons, shimmering pearls and metallics, and the unique super agates. Special shapes include hearts, geodonuts, geoblossoms, and all kinds of entertainer balloons. Qualatex balloons are often referred to as the very best because of their high quality, variety, vibrant colors, and coordination. In fact, more than 80% of balloon professionals choose Qualatex, trusting them for their dependability, knowing their customers can see the difference. They're even backed by a satisfaction guarantee. All of this results in Pioneer Balloon Company producing more than 1 billion Qualatex latex balloons each year. Qualatex balloons, along with other professional supplies and equipment, are available worldwide through Qualatex balloon distributors. If you're not already working with a distributor, you can find one under distributors at Qualatex.com. Qualatex microfoil balloons are made from balloon foil or metallized nylon. Qualatex round microfoil balloons come in sizes ranging from 4 inches all the way up to 3 feet in diameter and in vibrant colors that coordinate with Qualatex latex balloons. Whether you're designing a simple gift bouquet or a room full of decor, you'll really appreciate the quality and coordination you get with Qualatex balloons. And talk about shapes. Hearts, stars, moons, and that's just plain balloons. Hundreds of message balloons, including many popular licenses, are available in a wide variety of special shapes for all kinds of occasions and themes. Just make sure you're getting the very best balloons backed by our satisfaction guarantee when you check for the Qualatex name on the tail of the balloon. I've got Jan Imes here with me to guide us through balloon inflation. Jan has been in the balloon business since 1981 and has most recently been working with businesses all over the world to help increase their balloon sales and profits.
Thanks, Linda. The right knowledge and equipment can make a huge difference in productivity. When it comes to air inflating a few small balloons, you'll want a hand pump like the Qualatex hand air inflator I'm using here. Place the balloon neck on the nozzle and pump back and forth. Just make sure not to block the air intake at the bottom. To inflate large balloons, you'll need an electric air inflator, like this Qualatex Mini Cool Air Inflator. Simply place the neck of the balloon over the nozzle and push the button or tap the foot pedal to activate the airflow. As with all the equipment we'll be demonstrating, check with your Qualatex distributor to see what's available and what will best suit your needs. The key to professional-looking balloon work is inflating your balloons to a consistent size. Look at the difference sizing makes in garland. I know which one of these I'd want at my event. For the most part, you'll want to inflate your balloons so their diameter, or distance from one side to the other, is their stated size. Keep in mind that overinflating makes balloons more fragile, while underinflating makes them more durable. To make sure your balloons are consistent, you can use a sizing tool like the Slide and Size. Slightly overinflate the balloon. Then release the air until it passes through the guide. Sizing balloons manually takes time, so decorators love autosizers, like Conwin's Precision Air Machine. This machine consistently inflates 2 balloons to the same size. First, set the inflation time, then place a balloon over each nozzle and activate the foot pedal. It automatically stops inflating when the set time is reached. An even more advanced alternative is to use Conwin's Dual Sizer. It regulates gas flow from an air compressor or a tank of compressed gas. Check with your distributor to see what sizing tools and equipment will best suit your needs.
Inflated latex balloons are somewhat fragile, so you want to protect them. Balloon bags, available from Qualatex distributors, come in handy when you're transporting balloons. Another thing to watch for is static. The electrical spark can pop latex balloons, even setting off a chain reaction. Consider putting a dryer sheet in the balloon bag or misting the area with water to reduce static. Air is made up of almost 80% nitrogen, about 20% oxygen, and a small amount of several other gases. Fortunately for us, compressed nitrogen works great for inflating balloons that don't need to float. Nitrogen doesn't require a power supply, and inflation is really fast. Available from many balloon distributors and welding supply companies, it's fairly inexpensive. Before you use any compressed gas, whether nitrogen or helium, make sure you know how to properly handle tanks. Check with your supplier for safety regulations in your area. In general, tanks are under a lot of pressure. If that pressure to be released all at once, the heavy tank could go flying. So you'll want to make sure to always have their caps secure when moving them. In your workspace, make sure to secure the tank with a wall chain or safety stand before uncapping it. Also, keep in mind that gas cylinders are very heavy. There are lots of great devices to help you transport tanks, as well as secure them. Check with your balloon distributor for options.
Helium is a lighter than air gas that gives balloons their magical ability to float. When the combination of the balloon's weight and the helium inside weighs less than the air that's pushed aside or displaced, then the balloon floats. The small helium molecules will eventually escape through the pores in the latex balloon. Once the combination of the balloon and the remaining helium weighs more than the displaced air, it will lose its ability to float. Refer to the helium charts on Qualatex.com or the Qualatex catalog for a guide on how long you can expect different balloons to float. We all know people who've breathed in helium from a balloon to make their voices sound like the Munchkins in The Wizard of Oz. As much fun as this might seem, it's not a safe practice, since the helium displaces the oxygen we need to stay conscious and live. And because helium is a compressed gas, all the same rules about tank safety we covered earlier apply to both helium and nitrogen. If you're renting helium tanks to your customers, make sure to check with your supplier so you're following the guidelines in your area. You'll even want to have customers sign a rental agreement that includes safety information. To control helium coming out of a tank, you'll need a regulator like this Conwin Precision Plus. It's designed to inflate both latex and foil balloons. Again, check with your Qualatex distributor to determine what best suits your needs. Just line up the threads and screw it on until it's tight. You don't even need a wrench. Then, make sure you open up the tank at least a few full revolutions. It's also a good idea to close the tank when you're not using it to prevent waste from any leaks. Place the balloon on a nozzle and push down to allow the gas to flow into the balloon. This is the correct amount of inflation for an 11-inch balloon. If we put in more, the balloon may float a little longer, but it will also become distorted into a light bulb or a pear shape and become very fragile. So it's not a good value for your customer. If we put in significantly less helium, the balloon is less fragile, but the float time will really be reduced. So again, it's not the best value. If you're unsure about the correct amount of inflation, use the stated balloon size as your guide.
Most regulators have gauges to show the pressure remaining in the tank. This one is indicating there's 2,200 psi, or pounds per square inch of pressure in the tank, which is full for this size. There's a direct relationship between tank pressure and the amount of gas remaining. So when the pressure drops to 1,100 psi, or half the original, then half the gas will be remaining. The number of balloons a full tank can fill depends on the size of both the tank and the balloons. Ask your supplier how many cubic feet of gas is compressed in your tank size. When full, this tank holds 242 cubic feet. By using the helium charts on Qualitex.com or referring to the charts in the Qualitex catalog, you can find the helium requirements for any of the Qualitex balloon sizes and shapes. According to the helium charts, each 11-inch balloon takes about a half a cubic foot of helium. So, dividing the total volume in the tank by the amount needed in each balloon, we find that a full 242 cubic foot tank will inflate about 484 11-inch balloons. 16-inch balloons require about 3 times the gas, or 1.5 cubic feet per balloon. So we'd get around 161 16-inch balloons from a full 242 cubic foot tank. It's important to understand how to calculate the number of balloons you can get from a tank so you'll always have enough helium and can properly price your work. Let's do another example. When it's full, this tank has a pressure of 2,200 psi and a volume of 242 cubic feet. If the pressure is reading 1,200 psi and we want to inflate 50 16-inch balloons, will we have enough helium? You need to do this in 2 steps. First, calculate the volume of gas left in the tank by dividing the current pressure by the original pressure. Then multiply by the original volume. So we divide 1,200 by 2,200 and multiply that by 242. At 1,200 psi, this 242 cubic foot tank that normally has a psi of 2,200 has about 132 cubic feet left. Next, we'll determine how much helium we need to inflate 50 16-inch balloons. At 1.5 cubic feet per balloon, we'll need 50 times 1.5, or 75 cubic feet of helium. So, with 132 cubic feet of helium and only 75 cubic feet needed, we have enough helium for the job. A job using large balloons, like this Qualitex 3-foot jumbo, can take a surprising amount of helium. Taking the time now to really understand how to figure helium will be time well spent.
Bigger balloons float longer than smaller balloons. To find out just how long, reference the helium charts that can be downloaded from Qualitex.com or found in the Qualitex catalog. The charts give average flying times. Because there are different atmospheres and altitudes, it's always best to do a test in your own environment since float times can vary. Standard 11-inch Qualitex latex balloons will float 18 to 24 hours, while a 16-inch balloon will float well over 30 hours. Now, imagine the reaction you'll get when your latex balloons magically float for what seems like forever. Not only Will it be something that you'll want to promote with signage and in conversation? It really increases customer loyalty. As professionals, you're able to extend the floating life of latex balloons and dramatically increase their value with the magic of Ultra High Float Balloon Flight Extender. Ultra High Float is a non-toxic, biodegradable liquid that dries to form a thin barrier on the inside of latex balloons. So it helps them to retain helium up to 25 times longer than if they weren't treated. Specific instructions come with the product. In general, you'll slide a balloon all the way onto the Ultra High Float pump. Using the proper restriction clip, push down on the plunger to put just the right amount of Ultra High Float into the balloon. Pinch the base of the balloon's neck and remove it from the pump. Then holding the balloon neck up, gently press or rub the balloon to evenly distribute the Ultra High Float inside the balloon up to where you tie the knot in the neck for full coverage and maximum float time. Inflate the balloon and tie. While treating balloons with Ultra High Float costs a little more in time and product, the result is huge and one your customers will gladly pay for. So make sure you charge accordingly. Everybody wins.
Where there's inflation, there's tying. Industry veteran Jim Parker is joining us to demonstrate a variety of tying techniques. Jim started the Red Balloon Company in Seattle, Washington back in 1980. He's known for being a pioneer when it comes to making the most with the magic of balloons, doing it efficiently, and making money with balloons. Jim, show us what you've got.
Thanks, Linda. We spend our days tying balloons, so it's important that we learn to do it efficiently. While there's no one right way to tie balloons, you'll definitely want to find the way that works best for you.
To tie latex balloons, pinch the base of the neck with your left thumb and first finger. Then hold on to the end of the balloon between your right thumb and first finger and pull out the neck so you have lots of neck to work with. Don't be afraid to pull it out quite a bit, it stretches. Then lay the next two fingers of your right hand on top of the neck and rotate your hand clockwise to create a loop. Secure the loop by transferring the neck of the balloon back to your left hand, pinching it between your thumb and index finger. Then poke the neck through the loop with your left index finger. Another way to tie latex balloons is to hold the neck near the inflated balloon between the tips of your left thumb and index finger. Then pinch the neck roll with your right thumb and index finger and stretch out the neck. Turn the inflated balloon away from you and down, twisting your left wrist. Lay the neck roll on the pad of your left thumb and poke it through the loop with your left index finger, using your right index finger and thumb to pull it through.
Now, my personal favorite when I'm working with helium balloons is to tie the ribbon right in with the balloon in one easy step, avoiding the extra time it takes to tie the ribbon on after the balloon's tied. Just lay the ribbon over the balloon neck and completely ignore it. Then tie as before. The ribbon gets trapped inside the knot. That's it. You can also seal latex balloons with plastic disc, clips, and cable ties. Most of these methods work when properly used and may be removed if the balloon needs to be refilled. Generally, though, adding a clip or disc takes more time, adds cost, is less attractive, and can even reduce the balloon's float time because it adds weight. Learning to efficiently hand-tie latex balloons is definitely recommended for professionals. With just a little practice, it feels like second nature in no time.
I'd like to introduce you to Steve Machessa from Pioneer Balloon Canada. Like me, Steve experienced the retail side of the business before joining Pioneer. Today, he helps retailers throughout Canada build their balloon sales.
Thanks, Linda. When you're selling helium-filled balloons, you need lots of pre-cut ribbon on hand to speed things up, and you want to do it efficiently. With the ribbon rolls in a box, simply gather several ends and use the distance between your arms to measure them, going side to side, like this. Slow down near the end to keep the spools from overspinning. Then, cut once so the ribbon length is twice your arm span, about 6 feet. Simply tie the ribbons together and to the tank with an uninflated entertainer balloon. Then, inflate the balloons and tie them directly onto the ribbons tethered right to the tank.
As we learned with latex balloons, the amount of lift a balloon has is the result of the weight of the balloon itself and the helium inside being lighter than the air it's displacing. In the case of 4-inch and 9-inch microfoil balloons, there's no reason to inflate them with helium since they won't float. So, you'll use air or nitrogen. Simply inflate them until they're firm. Like this. Because they're smaller, they don't come with valves, so you have to heat seal them. Heat sealers are available from balloon distributors. Set your heat sealer between 3 and 4, warm enough to seal the balloon, but not so hot it cuts through the neck. Once inflated, pinch the base and smooth the neck between your fingers so there are no wrinkles. Place the flat neck under the sealer arm and press down to activate the heat. Hold and release. When you want to support smaller air-filled balloons, both latex and microfoil, you'll want to use a display device like this handy cup and stick, available from Qualatex distributors. Insert the balloon tail into any slot. Bring the tail over and onto an adjacent slot. It's that easy. 18-inch and larger Qualatex microfoil balloons float when inflated with helium, except in extremely high altitudes. For inflating microfoil balloons, you'll want to use a foil balloon regulator, which automatically stops the flow of gas when the balloon is fully inflated. 18-inch and larger microfoil balloons feature self-sealing valves, so once the balloon is filled, the pressure from the gas inside the balloon seals the valve. To protect the valve, tie your ribbon at the notch in the balloon tail. You may find it easiest to hold the inflated balloon between your stomach and a counter so that both hands are free. To finish off the balloon, you want to loosely curl the ribbon tail with the edge of a closed pair of scissors or with your fingernail. Nice, loose curls create a finished, professional look. Here's another option. If you prefer not to see the tail of the balloon, you can hide it by laying your ribbon flat across the end of the tail. Fold it over and roll the tail up with the ribbon trapped inside. Then tie the ribbon together in a knot. Takes a little extra time, but it gives a cleaner look. Microfoil balloons retain helium so well they float for several days or even weeks, depending on their size, shape, and your temperature or altitude. Check the helium charts for float times. It's important to keep in mind that gases expand in the heat and contract in the cold. So it's a good idea to inflate in an environment with a similar temperature to the area where the balloons will be used. Large temperature changes have a noticeable effect on foil balloons. A microfoil balloon inflated in your store and taken outside in cold weather can dramatically shrink, making customers think the balloon has a leak. You'll want to let customers know about this change in advance and assure them that the balloon will return to its proper fullness once it's brought back to room temperature. If either a latex or foil balloon will experience a much warmer environment after inflation, such as prolonged exposure to direct sunlight or time spent in a hot car, you want to slightly underinflate the balloon. That way it can handle the expansion when the temperature increases. Microfoil balloons don't have as much lift as latex balloons of similar sizes. It's a good idea to test your balloons so you'll know how long your balloons will float and so you can educate your customers. We mentioned earlier that foil balloons have a metallized outer surface. That metal allows them to conduct electricity. Several years ago in California, there were some problems when helium balloons were released and became caught in power lines. To reduce this risk, a California state law was passed, limiting how foil balloons could be sold. The California Balloon Law is considered an industry guideline to help prevent further laws from being passed. It says all helium-filled foil balloons must be weighted, and they must be individually attached to their weight to keep them from being released as a group. The law also states that no other conductive materials, including metallic ribbon, may be attached to any helium-filled balloon, whether foil or latex. These guidelines apply to indoor and outdoor balloon decor, as well as bouquets, since people have been known to take balloons outside and even release them. It's very important to understand that by choosing to act responsibly, you'll help to prevent further legislation that restricts how we sell balloons. We all know that latex balloons are made from a natural substance. In fact, studies have shown that they biodegrade at about the same rate as oak leaves. In latex balloon releases, the balloons rise to a level where the air is very thin and cold, shattering the latex into thin fragments like spaghetti that fall back to earth. A healthy animal would not normally choose to eat a balloon fragment or even a whole discarded balloon. But if they did, the balloon would likely pass without harm. It's important to note that foil balloons are not biodegradable and should not be used in balloon releases. To find out more about balloon legislation, latex allergies, and other issues affecting the balloon industry, including what you can do to promote balloon use, contact the Balloon Council. They're a great resource. Time is money. That's why using proven practices and establishing systems are so important to your profitability. With them, you're able to create consistent, professional results in as little time as possible. We've already covered inflating and tying balloons, the foundation of a balloon offering. Let's take a look at how we can quickly and easily make 20 table bouquets as part of the decor for a one-night event. Before we can decide how big the balloon should be and how many we'll want to use in each bouquet, we really need to know the size of the room so we can make them work within the space, also known as scale. Scale is the overall size of a design in relation to its surroundings. Let's assume our 20 table bouquets are for use in a mid-sized banquet room, so bouquets of 5 Qualatex 11-inch balloons should work well. We'll need to make sure to consistently inflate our balloons to the same size and secure them to ribbon, ideally tying the ribbon right in with a knot like we learned earlier. To keep ribbon tails consistent for a professional look, I like to measure down to my elbow. I found it's a good guide for just about everyone. If you're working in an environment with a clean, smooth, low ceiling, you can gently let the balloons loose and just grab what you need. If the ceiling isn't ideal, you may want to create a corralled area by stretching netting over a suspended framework. If you're working on site, try to find a nearby hallway or office with a lower ceiling. You can even tether the balloons. Here, I've used a Conway grip strip. Now, the 2 most common arrangements are staggered and stacked bouquets. Let's start with a staggered design. Have you ever done something like this? Should this one be higher? This one in the middle, I don't know. This one lower? It's a lot of wasted time. A standard approach gives you a professional look quickly, and that's the name of the game. Since we want the balloons to be evenly spaced, consider using a ruler and tape to create a spacing guide on a smooth wall. Jim's going to help me with this. If you're working on site, use small pieces of low-tack tape like painter's masking tape so it won't harm the walls. You might even want to test it to make sure. Put the top piece of tape where your reach is comfortable. Since you'll likely want the balloons to be the same distance apart, just measure down a consistent distance. We'll use 7 inches in this bouquet. We'll place the tape marks on the wall, one for each balloon in the arrangement. Then gather all the balloons and place them below the bottom tape mark. You'll want to hold your hand against the wall and keep it in place. Starting with the top mark, raise the balloons one at a time until the knot of a balloon is even with each mark. A perfectly staggered bouquet every time. The most important thing at any event is that the guests interact, so we have what's known as the 14-inch rule. The space between 14 inches and 24 inches off the table is the space where people make eye contact when they're seated. So make sure you don't have any major obstructions in that area. For a professional look, we'll want all of our bouquets to be the same height. After you've made the first bouquet, go back to your wall template and position the bottom balloon at the lowest mark. Then add a mark for the weight. Each time you make a new bouquet, you can now quickly space the balloons, then measure down and attach the weight at a consistent point. If for some reason you don't want the balloons in your bouquet equally spaced, you can still use this system. Simply create the first bouquet to your liking and make a wall template based on the design. If you want to create a stacked bouquet, you need to bring the necks of 3 or 4 balloons together. Then do the same with a second group. Just let the balloons be your guide when you place the second group below the first, bringing it up until it just touches the first group and nestles into place. You can add more layers as desired. To add a top balloon, just pull it down until it nestles into the top layer. Again, you'll want to keep the bouquets a consistent distance off the table using a template, such as tape on the wall. You're being hired to create an incredible atmosphere that will help make the event a success. We know that untreated Qualatex 11-inch balloons will float for about 18 to 24 hours, and balloons look their best the first half of their float time, 12 hours or so. If the party lasts until 1 a.m., you'll want to make sure to start inflating your balloons after 1 o'clock in the afternoon. Luckily, you have efficient systems like these that make it easy to tackle big jobs in a short amount of time. Anyone can paint a picture given a canvas, brushes, and paint. Yet some people's paintings are more beautiful or compelling than others. Perhaps we'll never know why some people are gifted at viewing and expressing the world in an artistic way. But we do know that people can learn the basics of what looks pleasing and even dramatically improve their creations through the study of the principles and elements of design. Because whether you're working with paint, flowers, fabric, or balloons, design basics are all the same. The principles of design attempt to describe why a composition is or isn't appealing to most people. Because they're ideas or concepts, they don't physically exist. Design elements are the physical attributes of the components or design materials in an arrangement. You can touch or see the elements of design. In this basics kit, we'll focus on the elements of color and texture and the principles of proportion and scale. Here's a scenario. You have to create bouquets for both a small entrance and an enormous hall. You have some 11-inch Qualatex balloons, some 24-inch balloons, some 3/16-inch ribbon, and some number 40 ribbon. For most of us, our sense tells us that the thin ribbon is more in proportion with the smaller balloons, and the thick ribbon is more in proportion with the big 24-inch balloons. Proportion is the size or visual weight of each component as it relates to the other design components and to the overall arrangement. Sometimes we can get it wrong and we're not quite sure what the problem is. That's a good time to ask if all the components are in proportion to one another. When we get it correct, it feels right. An arrangement of 24-inch balloons is going to feel out of place in a small area, while the 11-inch balloons won't make enough impact in a big hall. Both would be out of scale with their environment. Simply put, scale is the overall size of a design in relation to its surroundings. Proportion and scale are two essential design principles you should consider in all of your creations. One of the main reasons customers purchase balloons is for their color. Color evokes a wide variety of emotions, and when combined with the magic of balloons, well, it's unmatched for emotional impact. Most of us learned about primary colors in school: red, yellow, and blue. By mixing these colors together, we make the secondary colors of orange, green, and violet. And finally, we can mix those colors together to get what's known as intermediate or tertiary colors. These 12 colors make up the traditional color wheel. The most pleasing color harmonies come from combining colors that are certain distances away from each other on the wheel. The purest form of each color is called a hue. When we add white, we create a tint. For instance, pink is the tint of red. When we add black, we create shades. Burgundy is a shade of red. And when we add gray, we create tones. Rose is a tone of red. Combining the tints, shades, and tones of a single hue creates a monochromatic or one-color harmony. Here's an example using pearl pink, pearl burgundy, and rose. Mono means one, so just remember that tints, shades, and tones of one hue make up a monochromatic color harmony. An analogous color harmony is made up of any three colors that lie side by side on the color wheel. For example, yellow, yellow-orange, and orange make up an analogous color harmony. Complementary color harmony consists of any two colors directly opposite each other on the color wheel. Obvious examples include red and green or yellow and purple. A triadic color harmony is created from any three colors the same distance from each other that in effect make up a triangle on the color wheel. Our three primary colors, red, yellow, and blue, are a prime example. Another is our combination of secondary colors, orange, green, and violet. With more than 70 Qualatex colors to choose from, the possibilities are endless. When designing, we're choosing colors as well as textures. Texture is the surface quality of materials used in a design. Does it look smooth or rough, soft or hard, shiny or matte? Typically, textures work together, either as a blend or a contrast. Although a design with too few textural differences can be boring, a design with too many textures can look uncoordinated. A general rule is that all of the latex balloon colors have the same texture. In practice, this means you should blend coordinates from within a single family, like the jewel tone colors or neon colors, within related families like the standard and fashion tone balloons, which are both opaque, or from the shimmering pearl tone and metallic colors.
Helium balloons need to be anchored so they won't be accidentally released, and so your helium balloons comply with our industry guidelines we covered earlier. These balloon weights are from Premium Balloon Accessories and come in all shapes, sizes, and colors. There's also a full range of coordinating coffee mugs, plush, and other items that make terrific value-added weights. Check with your Qualatex distributor to see what's available. Custom weights such as decorated sand balloons, covered bricks, balloon weights topped with coordinating bows, and small gift boxes are also widely used. Sand-filled balloons are among the most popular weights since they're inexpensive and quick to make. Start with a dry 2-liter soda bottle. Using a funnel, add clean, dry play sand available from a building supply store. Next, stretch an 11-inch balloon over the neck of the bottle. Turn it upside down and squeeze the bottle. The pressure forces the sand into the balloon. Then simply remove the balloon and tie. Pretty slick, eh?
The color, motion, and magic of balloons are unparalleled when it comes to emotional impact. It's no wonder bouquets of balloons are high on the list of ways to express sentiment for all kinds of occasions. Birthdays, get-wells, congratulations, the possibilities are endless. In order to design a balloon gift, you'll first need to know the occasion and to whom they'll be given. Everything else flows from that. How old is the person? Male or female? What are their interests and likes? With the many Qualatex microfoil and latex balloons, you'll be able to meet every occasion's needs and create a design that perfectly suits the recipient. To jumpstart your creative juices, refer to Balloon Images magazine. It's full of creative ideas designed to help professionals sell more balloons. Images has been published since 1990, so you'll want to consider purchasing back issues. These can be found at Balloon Images e-zine online, Qualatex.com. You'll also want to check out all the inspiration at Balloon Ideas on Qualatex.com. As a QBN business member, you'll be able to log in and gain access to instructions for each of the featured designs. Selling balloon gifts gets even easier when you have a head start with creative reference and the education and instructions to pull them off. When arranging bouquets that have both latex and foil, it's important to remember our industry standards based on the California balloon law we covered earlier. Microfoil balloons must be individually weighted, so if they were to come loose, they release individually and be less likely to get tangled in power lines. So tying them together and then to the anchor is not an option. Transporting bouquets can be easier when you put them in large bags like this one. Check with your Qualatex distributor to see what's available and makes sense for your business. You can also keep the balloons from becoming tangled by pulling them all down to the same height and attaching a clothespin or clip you can remove once they're delivered. Even walking with bouquets indoors can cause balloons to tangle or even hit the ceiling and pop. Simply grab hold of the ribbons at the base of the balloons and pull them down, and always pass through a doorway first, letting the balloons follow. You can learn more about creating added value effects and bouquets, selling bouquets, and making presentations in the QBN Balloon Deliveries and Bouquets Kit. To order additional kits, visit Qualatex.com. One thing every business owner must have in place is adequate insurance. Liability, workers' compensation, and property insurance are essential. In fact, many venues require proof of insurance before they'll allow decorators to work on site, so you'll want to get this in place before it becomes an issue. Check with your local agent and make sure all of your insurance needs are met. Your area may also have additional regulations regarding business permits and taxation that you should investigate. A little knowledge can go a long way to preventing problems in the future. Balloons are a fabulous medium with incredible profit potential. Just think, we get to make people happy and transform places into magical events. We have this amazing creative outlet, and we work with one of the most profitable items on the market. While we're making people smile, we've also got to make sure we're pricing our work so we're making money. Before we get into pricing, it's important to note that the prices I'll be using are simply for illustration purposes. They're examples of how to calculate your finances, not what you should be paying or charging. Understanding how to price your work is key to making a profit. Luckily, we have proven formulas to help us make smart pricing decisions. Let's look at the cost factors involved in pricing your balloons. You've got the materials, labor, other expenses directly related to the job, overhead costs involved with running the business, and the profit necessary to reward the owners for their investment. To help you understand how to price jobs, you'll want to first download the job cost forms that are part of this kit's reference materials you'll find online. If you don't have that yet, you'll want to stop and go get those before the next section. Let's start with the materials. Material cost is for the physical things that get used up in the process of the job. Things like balloons, helium, ultra-high float, ribbon, and weights. Add up the cost of each component to get your material cost. For the labor cost, multiply the amount of time a person works on a particular job or bouquet by their total hourly cost to you. That will be a combination of their wage plus any additional payroll items, such as holiday pay and workers' compensation, to truly reflect their hourly cost to your business. If the person doing the work is the owner or even an unpaid family member, you want to figure out how much it would cost to hire someone with similar talents and use that cost on your job cost form. If you need to pay for parking while the bouquet is being delivered, that's an expense directly related to the job, even though it's not a physical item that gets used up or labor cost. For large decorating jobs, there could be many other expenses like meals or lodging for your crew, tips for the hotel staff, or costs associated with lighting or lift rentals. Add all these up for your other direct expenses. Then add up the cost of materials, labor, and other direct expenses to get the total direct cost for the job. Expenses to keep your business running that don't relate to any one job are considered overhead. Things like supplies, rent, insurance, ongoing education, and marketing and advertising expenses. They're all part of your overhead and are fairly easy to add up. When it comes to large items like computers and vans, you may want to treat them as assets and depreciate them over time rather than treat them as overhead. So talk with your accountant about those. Since the owner often works in the business as well as on the business, you'll want to include the portion of the owner's salary that relates to the time he or she spends working on the business in the overhead. Things like going to the bank, ordering supplies, and interviewing staff are all examples of working on the business. Some business owners make the mistake of not accounting for their full value. What kind of money would it take to pay someone else to do what the owner does? Or what money could that person be making if he or she wasn't working on the business? Recognizing their full value will ensure a true accounting of what you need to charge to make a profit. As you can see, it's important to make sure your accountant understands your business. Without that understanding, they're limited to simply telling you what money comes in and what goes out. In pricing your work, you need to account for overhead. So in every price you set, a piece of that will go toward paying for your overhead. To calculate the overhead percentage, divide last year's overhead costs by last year's total sales. For example, if last year's overhead, including the majority of the owner's salary, was $360,000, while sales were $1 million, then the overhead percentage would be 36%. Keep in mind that overhead percentages can range anywhere from 15 to 50%, so it's important to know what yours really is. You want to calculate it each year to make sure you're covering your costs and pricing for profit. Profit is the cornerstone of every successful business. Simply put, it's the money that rewards the owner of a company for their investment. Think of it this way. You could invest $10,000 in a savings bond and get a solid rate of return. Instead, you invest that money in a business. You also deserve interest on the money. And since the investment is riskier, you should enjoy a higher rate of return. Many small business owners talk about how profitable they are when there's money left over after all the bills are paid. If the owner is working in the business isn't really profitable until there's money remaining after the owner's been paid. Business consultants suggest that successful small businesses aim to achieve somewhere between 20 and 40% profit before tax. You decide. For this next example, we'll use 30%. Let's say we know that 36% of the money brought into the company needs to go towards paying overhead, and we want to have 30% left over for profit. 36% plus 30% equals 66% gross profit. The entire sales price is 100%. 100% minus 66% gross profit equals 34% direct cost percentage. That tells us that the direct cost must be at least 34% of the sale price to achieve the 30% profit before tax we desire. Coming up with a sale price is really quite simple. Just estimate the direct costs for a job and divide by your direct cost percentage. If the estimated direct costs to make a bouquet are $17, we can divide 17 by 34%, or 0.34, to get a suggested selling price of $50. So we know we're covered with a selling price of $50. But that doesn't mean we can't go higher. The next step in determining price is taking a look at the perceived value. Do your balloons float longer than the competition's? Have you included some high-end or value-added items like geo balloons that really bump up the perceived value of the bouquet? Take these factors into consideration when determining your sale price. On the other hand, there may be circumstances such as market conditions where taking a lower price may make sense. Just be aware that a price lower than $50 will cut into your profits first and then the owner's salary. Let's take another look at pricing using different examples. In this case, let's say that last year's overhead was $75,000 on sales of $300,000. Your overhead percentage would be $75,000 divided by $300,000, or 25%. Let's decide we're going to aim high and set our profit goal at 35%. The direct cost percentage is 100% minus the sum of 25% overhead percentage and 35% profit percentage, or 60%, leaving us with a direct cost percentage of 40%. We'll use that number for an entire year to help us price our work. With this in mind, let's price 25 balloon bouquets. Let's start with the balloons themselves. Their quality affects your costs and profitability far beyond just the product itself. Consider also the loss in helium and labor that comes with using inferior balloons. Think of choosing the very best Qualitex balloons as insurance to protect your profitability. So, if a 100-count bag of 11-inch Qualitex balloons costs $9.50, the price per balloon is $9.50 divided by 100, or 9.5 cents each. If a 242 cubic foot helium tank costs $37.50, the cost of each cubic foot is 37.5 divided by 242, which is 0.15, or 15 cents. Since 11-inch balloons require a half cubic foot of helium each, and we're inflating 100 balloons, we'll need 50 cubic feet of helium, or 50 times 0.15, which is 7.5 for $7.50 worth of helium. Let's say you'll need 2 yards of ribbon per balloon. With 100 balloons, that's 200 yards. To figure the cost of your ribbon, you'll need to know how much it costs per yard. If a 500-yard roll of ribbon costs $3.50, you'll divide $3.50 by 500 to figure your price per yard, which is 0.7 cents. Then multiply 200 yards by 0.007 for $1.40. Let's say you'll need 20 weights at a cost of $1 a piece, or $20 total. And finally, gas to and from the site at $1.75 per gallon with a 2-gallon estimate would be $3.50. Add everything together and we're at $41.90. Next, we need to figure labor costs. While the decor will most likely, in fact should, include other items, we're going to focus on just the bouquets in this example. It should take 2 people 1 3/4 hours to drive to the site, set up, inflate, and arrange 20 bouquets, then return to the store. If one person is a staff member who's paid $15 an hour, including his benefits, the cost would be $26.25. If the second person is the owner of the company, you'll want to estimate her rate at what it would take to pay a salaried manager to do the same work. Let's say $40,000 would cover the salary and benefits of this person, and she would work 2,000 hours a year. To figure the hourly rate, divide $40,000 by 2,000 hours to get $20 an hour. Working 1 3/4 hours, her cost in this job would be $35. So our total labor cost is $61.25. When it comes to other direct expenses, we'll need to include parking at the downtown location. At $4 each half hour, we'll use $12 to cover us for 1.5 hours. And let's say we buy a couple of soft drinks for $1 each. That totals $14. Now let's add it all up. $41.90 material costs plus $61.25 labor plus $14 other direct expenses equals $117.15 total costs. To arrive at a price that covers our costs, takes care of our overhead, and ensures we meet our profit goal, we'll need to divide our total costs by 40%, or 0.4 gross profit. So we need to sell the bouquets for at least $292.88. Of course, the actual profit will depend on how close our estimates are to reality. If the decorating crew gets stuck in traffic or if they fly through the project and are back in an hour, the actual profit will be different. Keeping an actual time log for jobs will help you plan for future work. Once again, working through a job cost form helps us to determine the selling price that will cover our costs and meet our business goals. It's possible we can charge a higher price and make even higher profits if the perceived value of the job merits it. So, once you're done with the calculations, take a moment to consider the value of your work. You may want to charge more.